I am 81-year-old, and the house has been too quiet for almost 5 years now. It's not the kind of quiet that you notice at first. It's the sort that settles in slow, like dust you can't quite see until it catches the light. I used to think quiet meant peace. I was wrong. Quiet just means there's no one left to listen. My wife's name was Marianne. We were married for 52 years. We met when I was 22, still in uniform, still too young to understand what the word forever really meant. She used to laugh when I told her I'd love her forever. Said, "Forever's a long time, Ed." She was right, as usual, but I meant it. I think she believed that too. When you're young, you don't notice the clock. You think time is this endless stretch of mornings and dinners and weekends. You think you'll get around to things. You think love is something that just sits there, strong on its own, waiting for you whenever you need it. I wasn't obsessed, not like some men, but I wanted to give Marianne a good life. We had 2 kids, a small house with a big maple tree in the front yard. I missed a few birthdays, a few anniversaries. I always told her it was temporary, that once things settled, I'd take more time off, we'd travel, we'd sit together more. The funny thing is, things never really settle. They shift, they rearrange, but they don't settle. I can still picture her standing in the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel, listening while I made promises I didn't realize I was breaking. She never fought me on it. That was Marianne's way. I used to mistake her patience for agreement. I thought silence meant everything was fine. You'd think I'd have learned to listen better, given how much she talked in the early years. She had this way of turning ordinary moments into something beautiful. She could describe a sunset and make you feel guilty for not noticing it. But over time, her words seemed to fade, not because she stopped talking, because I stopped hearing. Life isn't a single decision that ruins things. It's 1,000 small ones that chip away at what you love until one day you realize there's less of it left than you thought. Remember one winter? It must have been 89 or 90. The pipes burst and the kitchen flooded. We spent the night mopping water and laughing because everything smelled like rust and dish soap. After we finished, she made tea and we sat on the tile, our socks soaked, steam rising from the mugs. She looked at me and said, "You know, one day we won't have nights like this. Make sure you remember how this feels." I laughed it off. I told her I wasn't likely to forget, not with the floor ruined and my hands raw from the cold water. But I did forget, not the night itself, but the feeling she meant. The warmth under the mess, that shared moment that looked like nothing but meant everything. Years went by. The kids grew up, moved away. Marianne took up gardening. She loved her flowers more than I ever understood. She'd come in with dirt on her knees, excited about some new bloom, and I'd glance up only half listening. I thought I was being polite. Now, when I think back, those were quiet invitations I kept refusing. Love doesn't always ask for grand gestures. Sometimes it just wants your attention. She got sick slowly. You never think the person who's always taken care of everyone will suddenly need you like that. It started with tiredness. small things. I told her she just needed to rest more, that she worked too hard in the yard, we were getting older, that it was normal. Then came the hospital visits, the diagnosis, the nights of sleeping in chairs beside her bed, the soft hum of monitors while she drifted in and out. She never complained. She just smiled a lot, like she'd already made peace with something that I hadn't even begun to face. I remember the night before she passed. She was so weak her voice was barely a whisper. She asked if I remembered the first time we met. I said of course I did. In the church parking lot, her hair pinned up, holding a bag of oranges, because she was volunteering that day. I said, she looked like the sun itself. I wasn't even exaggerating. Her eyes crinkled when she smiled. Even then, she said, "You always were so busy, Ed. Promise me you'll slow down, even if it's just to notice the light on the floor." I told her I would. I told her everything would be fine. That's what you say when you're terrified. She died the next morning, before sunrise. She slipped away, so quietly I almost didn't notice. The nurse told me she'd gone peacefully. I sat there, holding her hand, waiting for something, tears maybe or words, but nothing came. Just silence. After the funeral, everyone went home. The house filled with flowers and sympathy cards. Our kids stayed for a few days, people called. And then one morning, I woke up, and the house was just hers and mine again. Except only mine now. This silence. This is what I want to talk about. It's not angry. It's not even sad in a loud way. It just sits beside you. It follows you from room to room. It's patient. It doesn't let you lie to yourself. For months, I still made coffee for two. I still set her chair by the window, like she might walk in. I kept finding her everywhere. A scarf on the back of a chair, her glasses in a drawer, a note in her handwriting, reminding herself to buy lemons. It's strange how a person becomes hundreds of small objects after they're gone. You think the pain will fade, but what really fades is the sharpness. What's left is dull, steady, like a heartbeat you hear from inside a wall. Some mornings I'd talk to her, nothing profound, just narrating my day like she used to do. It made the silence less heavy. But over time, I started to hear it for what it was, not absence, but echo. Everything we said, everything we didn't say. It's in that quiet. When you live with someone for 52 years, you build a language bigger than words. A glance means something. A small sigh means something else. When that person is gone, the world loses part of its vocabulary. No one else speaks your shared language. That's what no one prepares you for. The way the world becomes slightly foreign. I look back now, and I see how many times I treated love like a steady fixture instead of a living thing. I thought love was proven by what I provided. I confused responsibility with care. I thought working hard was loving well. It's not that simple. If I could go back, I wouldn't change the big things. Those were easy. I'd change the small ones. I'd put down the newspaper a little more. I'd look up when she spoke about the flowers. I'd walk with her around the block, even when I was tired. Those choices don't sound like much, but they're what build a life. And when you lose someone, you learn that what you miss most are the small things you ignored. These days, I spend a lot of time on the porch. There's that maple tree we planted together. It's taller than the house now. She used to worry it would die that first summer, but it didn't. It stuck around, a stubborn thing. I guess in a way that tree is us, rooted in the same patch of dirt, weathered and still standing. The grandchildren come by sometimes. They talk to me about their lives, their jobs, their plans. I smile and listen. They mean well. They say things like, "You were lucky to have that kind of love." And they're right, but luck isn't what I think about. I think about attention. That's the currency of love, if you ask me. Time, attention, and a little courage to truly notice the person right in front of you. When you spend half a century with someone, you see their entire arc. Their dreams, their disappointments, their laughter, their changes. You start to believe there will always be more time for all of it. One more trip, one more evening walk, one more lazy Sunday. But one day you wake up, that word, more, isn't available anymore. The first year after she was gone, I found myself doing strange things. I'd drive places we used to go and just sit in the car. The lake we visited every summer. The water was the same, but everything else felt wrong. I realized that places don't hold joy, people do. Without her, the lake was just water again. I used to think there'd be a grand realization, some neat conclusion that would make the pain make sense. There isn't. There's just a slow learning. I've learned that regret doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers every morning when you wake up. What's funny is, I don't think Marianne ever needed me to be perfect. She just wanted me to be there. I guess that's real love. It's never about the grand gestures, the anniversaries, or the words. It's about showing up. In the quiet, in the ordinary, in the moments when you think nothing important is happening. That's when everything is happening. Now, the silence has turned into a kind of companion. It doesn't hurt as sharply. It reminds me she was real. Every creak in the hallway, every shift of light across the living room. It feels like her way of saying, "Still here." And I believe in that, foolish as it sounds. People sometimes ask me, what keeps me going at this age? I think it's memory, more than anything, the bad and the good. Because both remind me that I lived, and I loved. If you're younger, and you still have someone you care about, listen a little harder. Notice the small things. The way they sigh when they're tired, the sound of them humming in another room. Because one day, you'll crave that sound, and there won't be a way to hear it again, except inside your head. If you're like me, if you've already lost your person, don't be ashamed of talking to them in the quiet. I think love doesn't end. It just changes its form. It becomes memory, air, light, silence, whatever shape it needs to stay near. Sometimes at night, I sit up in bed and say her name softly, just to remind myself it was real. The sound hangs in the dark for a moment before fading. That fading used to break me. Now it comforts me. It's the closest thing I have to her voice. I'm 81, and I know I don't have decades left. That doesn't scare me anymore. What scares me is how easily we let the days slip by, believing that later will come. If I've learned anything, it's that love demands presence, not promises. So here's what the silence taught me. Love isn't proven by how loud you shout it, or how long you keep it. It's proven by how gently you attend to it while it's here. By whether you look up, listen, share your time, before there's no one left to share it with. If this story means something to you, maybe sit a little closer to someone tonight. Let the silence between you be soft, not empty. Notice it while you still can. That's all I wanted to say.